All right, and we are live. Welcome everyone to another edition of Trading Bitcoin with your host, Tone Vays. Coming to you live this morning. It's 11 a.m. Eastern time. Markets are open. They are moving to the upside. We're gonna take a look. I'm gonna do my best to keep this video on the shorter side, only because there is just so much to do in preparation for this weekend's workshop, and I am so not ready. So lots of work to be done, and the longer these videos are, the lazier I get the rest of my day, and that is why we are jumping right into it. This happens to be the last page on this. I strongly recommend this. It's basically a book of Wells Wilder's technical systems, including RSI and ADX and SARs that he created, and I'm gonna be teaching a few of these during the upcoming workshop. Okay, let's look at Bitcoin first. Bitcoin, of course, is up this morning, and so is the S&P 500. Or I should reverse those. The S&P 500 is up this morning, so it should be no surprise that Bitcoin is up. We will. I'm still expecting this relationship to stay intact. The amplitude of the relationship varies, but every day that the S&P rises, I expect Bitcoin to rise. Every day the S&P falls, I expect Bitcoin to fall. Now, here is where the relationship gets confusing. If the S&P has a catastrophic crash, it does not mean that Bitcoin will have a catastrophic crash. It just means Bitcoin will fall. If the S&P has an enormous rise, it doesn't mean that Bitcoin will have an enormous rise. It could also be the other way around. The S&P could be up 0.25% and Bitcoin can rise up 5%. It's the directional relationship that interests me. I can't remember the last time I was watching a rise in the S&P without a corresponding rise in Bitcoin. Now, I haven't paid attention which one rises how much and how often, but if I did not look at either market in the last 24 hours, and I opened today, and I opened my computer today, and I saw that the Bitcoin was up, I would have assumed S&P was up. And if I looked at S&P and I saw that it was up, I would have assumed Bitcoin was up. And the opposite on the way down. Oh, let me tell my few moderators to collect some questions. I'm live. All right. So anyway, this relationship, however, is starting, this consolidation is starting to get into jeopardy a tiny bit. We are back near the downward trend line, and let's see if we can break it. But there will be some interesting tidbits coming up really soon. So the weekly chart of Bitcoin, and by the way, this is me testing out some new indicators. So this is, I'm going to call it Trender, and it doesn't exist on TradingView. We had to build it. Obviously, I didn't invent it. It was something that I learned, I want to say 15 years ago, around 2007, because I was already working at Bear Stearns. And, you know, these indicators exist on Bloomberg, but like 8 billion indicators exist on Bloomberg. I'm exaggerating a little bit. No one had this on TradingView. I tried looking for it. Maybe they have it. Maybe they named it something else. So we had to build it. I'm still just debating if I'm going to teach it, because that's what I spent all night doing last night. Just been like watching this indicator, and I'm like, shit, this looks kind of good. So now I have a decision to make. Do I want to bot it and trade it, or do I want to teach it? Because I'm not doing both. If I teach it, I'm not going to bot it into a trading thing. I don't have any bots. I don't have any bots running. I don't have any algorithms running, but I'm starting to consider that. But I'm not going to write algorithms of stuff that I teach. I mean, that makes no sense. If I'm going to write a trading bot, it's going to be on something that I haven't, blabbed about all over YouTube. So the big decision is, do I teach what this is, or do I put it into a bot? And I have a few days to figure that out. I may I don't know. I have no idea if I'm going to mention this weekend, but you're going to see it on a lot of my charts because I've been just like testing it. I still don't even know what are best parameters, but I like the discipline that this indicator brings. Like it's very clear this is a long on this indicator. That's a short, which would not have lasted very long because that's a long. And there's also two of them, right? So this is not as strong as this. And this long on the daily is still intact. And this long was intact all throughout this consolidation. This green line was never broken. So yeah, there's definitely some interesting things that could be done. It's the rabbit hole of trading indicators is infinite. It really, really is infinite. It's I didn't point to this. I forgot to point to it, but this is that Wells Wilder book. And if I go to the last page, well, not literally. If I go to the last paragraph of the book, I really found this sentence incredible. I didn't highlight it in my tweet, but I have to read this. Several times in the past, I have come to the conclusion after perfecting and testing a system that it was the ultimate method. I would decide to stop searching and researching and be content to just trade the system. And then, as I did this morning, I will wake up about 3 a.m. with another new concept to explore. It seems to be a never-ending search. This was written in 1978. In 1978, when things like RSI were invented, because he invented it. So the rabbit hole of technical indicators to trade is infinite. Well, the rabbit hole of technical indicators is not infinite. It's somewhat finite, but the combination of these indicators for your trading system is actually infinite. So there you go. And that's the big dilemma. And as I prepare for the workshop this Saturday, I'm starting to, review like the oldest notes I had. And I couldn't keep trading 40 different indicators that I've learned. I had to choose like one or two. And the sequential was one of them. And this didn't make the cut. But now that, 12 years has gone by and no one uses it, could be something there. So I'm looking into it. Anyway, let's get back to the price of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is breaking a level of resistance. So this is very, very promising. I now have additional indicators that I'm looking at that have been bullish all throughout this consolidation. We are breaking above the 50-period moving average. We still have to deal with the prior swing high, and we still have to deal with the parabolic SAR or the lucid SAR, and soon to be the tone Vays SAR, though I don't think we'll have time to code that up prior to the workshop this weekend. And I really enjoy doing this stuff. I really do. I'm not really rushing into entering a bunch of trades, but I really enjoy just like the research element of technical indicators. And I need to put in, well, mine isn't on here. This is like, I'm not even close to having a final product on this, but I just want to put this in instead. Eventually, you're only going to see this. I think it's still loading. And one of the things I'm trying to code into it, or I'm trying to provide the coding rules for my developer to code into it, is an idea of a trend change. Well, this is now cleaner. And there was clearly a trend change right here. So another indicator is telling me that this is a legitimate breakout. And it is a legitimate breakout on Bitcoin. My concern, I would be a lot more bullish on Bitcoin. I really would. I still have my bet. I still think that Bitcoin will consolidate below 10K. If I was only looking at Bitcoin in isolation, why is this not loading? If I was only looking at Bitcoin in isolation, Oh, I think the candle needs to close. Why is this not? Or maybe there's a bug. There should be a star here. We'll work out some of the bugs. This is not open to release yet. So for general purposes, if I was only looking at Bitcoin in isolation, I would be bullish. Everything on this chart is screaming bullish. I have one last hurdle. Well, a double hurdle. A break of the SAR, which should take place tomorrow with another update, and the break of the prior swing high, which is at 9,700. And we're not far from 9,700. So looking at Bitcoin in isolation, everything is screaming bullish. Now, the weekly chart is not ready yet. The weekly chart, as I've said earlier, here's the weekly chart. The weekly chart cannot go bullish this week. The weekly chart needs one more week. The weekly chart, for me, can only go bullish next week. But we're right back at this resistance level. We still have this red line. This is the trender indicator to break. And that's coming in at 10,300. No one knows what this is, guys. I have never taught this. You're not going to be able to Google for it. Well, maybe you could. Good luck with that. I had trouble Googling for it, but I haven't tried hard enough. I was just focused on getting it done. I'll try some more later. We'll get there. I don't know what the Bloomberg's default parameters are, so we'll have to come up with my own. Anyway, the weekly chart can't go bullish this week, but it can certainly go bullish next week. The daily chart is almost full-blown bullish. The daily chart is leaning more bullish than bearish. And but here's the problem. The problem is the S&P 500. Oh, we just pulled back. This was a way more bullish candle when I was like looking at it a half an hour ago. So the problem is the S&P 500. As much as I would love for the S&P 500 to rally for 3 more days into Friday, I would consider attempting another short at the S&P 500. My problem is that I am very concerned that the S&P 500 will not make it. Look at this huge reversal. Is this 10 a.m. reversal again? Huh. Wow, 10 a.m. on the dot. Was just talking about this in my Telegram group yesterday. Wow, 10 a.m. again. So every day since my failed attempt to do a live trade on live air to short at 10 a.m. and those attempts failed miserably, every day after that, the 10 a.m. reversal was butter. And this is why you can't put your eggs on a single trade. You can't put all of your money on a single trade. A single trade will knock you out, but a trading system could, save you as long as you have proper money management. And speaking of money management, here's the second to last page of that book, which I highlighted here. There are 3 parts to being a successful trader: using a good technical system, using the system on the right market at the right time, and using a good money management technique. Of the 3, the third is the most important, the easiest to learn, and the hardest to do. That's your money management. That's what will keep you in the game. Number 2, I can't teach. But number 1, I can teach. I can teach 1, and I can try to teach 3, but 3 is up to you. It's your discipline. 3 is your discipline. Those that have the best 3 become the best traders over a long period of time. 2, you're on your own. And those that can't solve number 2 become followers of other traders. Whether those traders have solved 2 or not, hopefully they have. But remember, most traders that you are following, they are making more money on you following them than they're probably making trading. Keep that in mind. I don't have a follower base of my trades. I don't want it. It's something I have no desire for. I try to teach you 1 and 3, and you need to figure out 2 on your own. You also need to figure out one on your own. I'm going to teach you a bunch of technical systems. You can't use them all. You got to choose one. Okay, let's get back to the charts. So my concern is that the S&P 500 is going to turn. Am I going to be able to time the turn of the S&P 500? The answer is I don't know. I tried timing the turn here, and it kind of succeeded, but not how I wanted, because over the medium term, it failed. And then I tried timing it here, and I failed miserably. And then I tried timing it here, and I thought I succeeded, but then it didn't really work out. So I've been attempting to time a crash in the S&P since April, basically since April. I timed the bottom fairly okay, but I've been trying to time the pullback, a significant pullback. This looked ridiculously promising for serious downside, and then it just went higher. So I've been having trouble timing the reversal, but what I do know is that I am concerned about Bitcoin's higher prices because I'm still concerned that the S&P will fall. I may not be able to time it very well, but this is why I'm concerned for Bitcoin going to break 10,000 because of my concerns of the S&P. Back to the 10-minute look, and we're still pulling back right off of 10 a.m. That is a monster 10 a.m. reversal. I always talk about these 10 a.m. reversals. And wish I did a video at 10 a.m. today, but I was doing a presentation for a conference that was on YouTube, I think. But you've seen the presentation before, I'm sure, guys. It was about Bitcoin value proposition. And that is a monster drop. That is a 23-point drop in the S&P right off at 10 a.m. and it's still falling. So Bitcoin should be pulling back as well. Let's go to the short-term Bitcoin. This is the 4-hour chart, and let's go to the 10-minute chart. I find that this trender doesn't work all that well on short time frames. The bigger the time frame, the better it is. It's still holding. Bitcoin is holding. Bitcoin also tops at 10 a.m. So once again, no one should be surprised that the highest price of Bitcoin. Let's go to the minute. I want to see at what minute Bitcoin topped this morning. Again, to just demonstrate that Bitcoin is at the mercy of the stock market. Now, it's possible that Bitcoin topped before the stock market, but it's not the leader. It's always the follower because of the bigger forces. So Bitcoin tops at 10:01. Let's see when the S&P topped. But there was a prior top at 9:51. Now let's go to the S&P. We can use the futures market. Let's go to the 1-minute chart. So the first top came at 9:58, and the second top, the ultimate top, came at 10:12. So, wow, look at these arrows. Boom, boom, boom. That was a triple. That was a 999, folks. Cool. But it is a 1-minute chart, so I don't know what that means. And we're dropping hard. So, yes, Bitcoin had its first top. What was it? It was 7 minutes earlier. And then Bitcoin had its ultimate top 11 minutes earlier. Now, just because you can say, well, Bitcoin is leading the market, that may be true on a short-term scale. If you go down to the 1-minute chart, if you go down to the 5-minute chart, I guess if Bitcoin tops, the S&P will top as well. But I wouldn't use Bitcoin as a leader, because if the S&P would continue to rise, Bitcoin would then reverse and make a new high. Bitcoin will, it looks like it's been topping earlier than the S&P, but the forces that driving Bitcoin lower are the forces because the S&P is just a much wider and bigger market. It's kind of hard to explain. The S&P is certainly dropping hard here, and it may come to a stop on the drop, probably while I'm still on the video, in about 20 minutes. So this candle still has 10 minutes to go, and then there could be 2 more candles before we get to one of these green arrows for a potential end to momentum. I don't know how long the momentum will end. I usually expect 1 to 4 candles, and then you reevaluate. In this case, it was 1 to 4 candles. We pulled back a little bit more. Beautiful doji candle on a 10-minute chart. And then we top right here, and that's your Darth Maul candle, probably at market open. Nope, that's 4:30 in the morning. No idea what happened there. But here we are, and this is not looking good, and it's been a big drop. I've been waiting for it. I'm not in the market right now. I'm not in the market. I did my best to short the shit out of the S&P. I mean, I did okay financially doing it, but mentally, I did not do very well. So at the moment, I'm not in the market. I've also been talking about being bullish on gold. I had a very successful trade in gold, but that trade, I took the exit here, and then I took the exit here. So I am not currently long gold other than the gold coins that I have that I purchased long ago. So I'm still physically invested in gold. I'm not selling those yet. However, the paper gold is still bullish. I've had a target of 1900, and once we get to a new all-time high, I would have to anticipate higher prices. So I remain bullish in gold. I've been right about that trade for a long time, and I remain bullish in gold. Everything seems to want to top on Friday, but I really hope the S&P is not turning right here. I was all ready to try and short it again on Friday, but if it crashes here and now, I will miss my entry because I don't chase. I don't chase. I'll miss a crash to 1,000 S&P if I have to. I don't chase. There are always other opportunities. So it would be unfortunate if it reversed right here. There are reasons for it to reverse. There was a topping on the continuation cycle that topped yesterday, but the way it was acting this morning, I really thought it can go higher. But the way it can close this candle, that's bad. Am I going to jump into this trade? Probably not, because I need to work on the webinar. So there you go. All right. Any questions? I see some questions. Can I look at oil? I mean, oil is probably dropping as well because the S&P is dropping. Everything is dependent on the S&P. Oil is like not even moving. Is it moving? It's not moving. Oil should be topping this week as well. Everything is setting up for a top. Here's the daily oil chart. Everything is setting up for a top. Oil is just consolidating. It's not really interesting. Norwegian. I had a trade in Norwegian. I got out of that trade very, very nicely. Oh, and I also want to take a look at, oh, this is Pinterest. This is what I'm using for my, so like I said, I'm looking at a bunch of indicators. This happens to be the money flow in that, and I've never shown it before. First time. It may or may not be part of my webinar this weekend. And this is how I've been like back testing these indicators. And this trender on Pinterest would have worked out real nice. The reason why I was using Pinterest is because I can go back to the beginning to the IPO, and it worked out very well, very trending. Pinterest is trending nicely, and right here it's still telling us that Pinterest is bullish. I also want to take a look at the Shanghai Composite. I do want to take a look at Norwegian and CLH, only because I had a trade in this. Norwegian is not doing that good. Look, it's going back down. This was a nice run up. So here's a nice indication of a long that didn't last, and that's a short, and that's another short. You can treat them as you like. You can treat the first one as a stop loss, the second one as a short. It's really up to you. And then you go long. So this was a no-win trade, but that's certainly a winning trade. And this has been a winning trade to the downside as well as of these two candles. And we're now lower. So Norwegian is not looking too good. I want to take a look at the Shanghai Composite as well. I also want to take a look at, what do you call, DraftKings. See how DraftKings is doing. Ooh, that hurts. That hurts. DraftKings was looking great. It was breaking 40, but this is not a good sign. I don't know if this will become how much of a favorite this indicator will be, but it's so simple. Well, it's not simple, but it's so simple to use, and it's so clean and clear as to what's going on. Here's your first indication of weakness, and here's your second indication of weakness. And you can scale these like up to threefold. It's actually designed to be threefold, but I kind of set the third to be identical to the second, so I only have two lines on each side, not three. Well, let me not talk about indicators. You guys have no idea what they are. We'll go back to what you guys are used to. Yeah, that's not good. That is not good. This thing did get up kind of high there. I got to be bearish on this one. Got to be bearish here. It's not looking good. And if the market turns, it's probably because sports aren't really coming back. They keep talking about it, but it's hard. Yeah, I want to take a look at the Chinese stocks. Let's see what else we got. Take a look at oil. Am I wrong that a short-term top could be forming? No, you're not wrong. I think oil's been topping for a while. I have no idea why it's so high. Gold at new all-time high in US dollars today. No, it's not. Thoughts? Gold was, I remember gold at 1925 or something. Gold broke 1900, that's for sure. How high can an asset go that is at new all-time highs? Well, the last time Bitcoin broke its all-time high of 1,300, it went to 20,000. So if gold breaks its all-time high, I can see $5,000 gold. I can see it. I don't think silver will break its all-time high of 50, but I can see gold going way higher. Would you still take the Trump bet in upcoming election? So far, yes. I have not seen anything. I mean, I'm just laughing that Biden is the Democratic candidate. So far, I don't see anything that can stop Trump. Do you expect crazy volatility in equities leading into the election? Last election was nuts, of course, but not as much. Not as much, because at this point, people know that Trump is good for the market, very good for the market. So I see less volatility this time around because of the election. There could be massive volatility. I mean, like Corona wave round 2 could be just heating up in October. That's when it starts to get cold. So I can see major volatility, but it won't be due to the election. It could be around the time, though. If silver breaks out of range, could you see new all-time highs for silver? I didn't know that was a question. It's possible, but unlikely, because silver is no longer money. So it's like silver is like a shit coin. Can a shit coin go to a new all-time high? I guess, but not the same shit coins, right? So I don't ever see Ethereum going to a new all-time high. I don't ever see Ripple going to a new all-time high. But some of the shit coins that didn't really have any momentum back then could be going to new all-time highs now. I just don't want to name some, but they are. There are a few. LMND, new IPO. All right, and after this, we're going to look at Shanghai. LMND. What is this? Lemonade? Damn. So I don't know what this is. So the way it opened is kind of promising. It's on a pullback. So the tone Vays rule of thumb, I don't even know what industry this is. What sector is that in? Can someone tell me what sector that's in? Because I'm curious how it compares to other IPOs in their sector. I've never heard of this. So look, the tone Vays IPO rule is as follows. If an IPO is launching insurance, oh boy. Lemonade provides renters and homeowners insurance in the US. Is that, I don't see much innovation there. I think renters in the US have had insurance for a long time. So where's the innovation? I can't answer your question, Ash. Do you think it's better to add to Bitcoin now or wait for a better price? That is a question I can't answer. The general answer is the best time to buy Bitcoin was yesterday. Okay, so my general rule of thumb is I am only interested in IPOs after they've lost 50% of their initial 50% of their initial IPO price. However, I am okay with that 50% being off a high if the high happened, within a short amount of time after the IPO. I can't give you, there's no like direct metric here. So I can't say in the first day, in the first week, in the first month. It depends. It depends how the thing goes. So I would not really buy this thing this year unless it falls 50% from the high, which means at the moment back to the IPO price. But most likely, I would not be buying at the IPO price, because if it got back to the IPO price, I would expect it to go lower. So now we're back to, a significant discount off the IPO price. Maybe not 50%, but let's drop that down to 40, something like that. But I'm going to leave this 50% drop of IPO price. But it also depends. Lyft fell this much. Uber did not. But there's a big difference. Those of you that remember me talking about Lyft when it IPO'd, here's Lyft. So Lyft had the IPO first. And I absolutely kept saying I would never buy Lyft. I mean, I never bought Lyft, but I was talking about buying Lyft. But I kept saying from the moment it IPO'd, we've been following this since the IPO. I said, at the least, wait for a 50% drop. And Lyft opened at 90, and it was down 50% within weeks. Lyft ended up going from 90 down to 15. Insane. So you could have bought Lyft way cheaper than the IPO. Uber was different because Uber got to watch for months the disaster of the Lyft IPO. Uber IPO'd at a significantly lower price than expectation. So when Uber IPO'd, it went up for months. And then it pulled back, and it still pulled back over 50%. I believe from the IPO itself, not even from the high. So if that's the IPO price, right around there somewhere, if that's the IPO price, Uber ended up falling 65%. Now, granted, the coronavirus had something to do with it. So realistically, Uber only fell about 35% from the IPO price, but probably 50% from the high in the vicinity of the IPO. Boom, right there, exactly 47%, almost 50. So the rule is, this was the rule I've been following since Facebook. I came up with this rule after watching what happened to the Facebook IPO in 2012. And that was my rule ever since for IPOs. Now, you have to be reasonable. I knew, and go back to the videos from whatever day this is, whatever day that is, like early June of last year, when we talked about the Uber IPO being incredibly lowballed, that the probability of dropping 50% from IPO price was actually pretty low. The probability of dropping from the early on hype was significantly higher. That's exactly what happened. If there was no COVID, Uber would probably be, probably would have never fell below $35 again. So this is all COVID. Obviously, I use Uber all the time, but not in the last 4 months. So Uber has to be hurting in revenue, not just from me, But if I'm not, like a power user of Uber, and I have not been using it. So what does that mean for the other people that were also power users of Uber? If everyone's working from home, no one is going meeting to meeting. So yeah, so Uber is taking a big hit. Tone, what are your thoughts on lawful encryption bill that was proposed by Tom Cotton? I had to talk about it in my law reviews. Hey, Jester, Near, haven't seen you in a while, man. Dude, you've been watching my channel for like 5 years. You were like one of my first YouTube followers. Going back to the days of World Crypto Network, man. Haven't seen you in my chat in a while. All right. What else we got? Oh, China. I'm going to mimic Trump here. Indices. Oh, so much for a short video. Oh, we should look at the market too, like the US market. Let's look at China. You know, there's probably, I don't want to take this off because I kind of need to take screenshots of it. So China should be topping. This is the daily Shanghai Composite. Did really well today, but look, all metrics point to a top. This was the top. Wow, this is like textbook. I need to take screenshots of this. I need to seriously take screenshots of this. This is textbook. You have a top right here. Let me turn this on. This is going to be the new indicator to replace this indicator eventually. Boom. So you have you have a momentum trend change. You have a top. You have a 1 to 4 candle correction. Absolutely textbook. Then another trend change. This is the end of extensions. These are the countdowns ending. And now in 2 days, there's going to be another significant top that will have this red arrow. So all markets are pointing to a top later this week. Now the S&P is already turned today with the Shanghai having a very good positive day. So I don't know if the Shanghai is going to collapse tomorrow, but either way, if I turn this back on, either way, the 9th's coming. Well, maybe not because it has to close above a 7 or trade above a 7. I really hope this thing doesn't crater tomorrow. Let's go back to the S&P and see what's going on. Oh, wow. That was a monster reversal candle right there. And this candle is about to end. We are going to get our arrow next in about a minute. Maybe. Let's see. Yep, we're going to get our arrow in a minute. This could be a nice reversal right here. But we did fall quite a bit. That was a monster drop at exactly 10 a.m. We fell down about 36 points. That's insane. That is insane. Like back in the day when I was trading the 10 a.m. reversal, this would be like 3 weeks worth of profit because I was only praying for 10-point moves. And this was a 36-point move. Yeah, Jester, I've followed you since 2014. Yeah, I remember. I don't want to talk bad about Thomas Hunt. I like Thomas Hunt. He does lean a little to the left, I will agree. Do you think Bitcoin can break 10,000 this week? I don't think it can break 10,000 because I think the S&P is about to turn, though I've been saying that for a while. With the S&P and Bitcoin correlated right now, would you say that both markets are rigged by the whales? No, I would not say that. I don't believe they're rigged by whales. To me, saying that the market is rigged by a whale is like saying that, you know, a professional poker player with a lot of money sitting at your table is rigging the poker game. He's not rigging the poker game. He's just better than you. And he has more money to push you around, but he's not cheating. Unless he's actually cheating. Like, unless he sees your cards, he's not cheating. He's just better. So no, there's no whales controlling the S&P. They just have more money, and they're better at analyzing what it means. Though a lot of them still screw up and lose money. I honestly don't want the S&P to top today. I want to time it. I want the S&P to rally and give me a high on Friday. I would rather short the S&P on Friday at 3,200 or close to it than seeing what it is here. I want my new indicator to give me a nice fat red arrow right here. Tomorrow is Wednesday, so Thursday. So on Thursday, I want my giant red arrow to be sitting right here on the Shanghai index, and then the same thing to happen on the S&P on Friday. And I would like that to be at a new high. Also because I'm not short the S&P, so I kind of want it to go higher so I can short at a higher price. Even if Bitcoin breaks 10,000 this week, it doesn't mean anything if the S&P turns and drags the S&P down with it. Like, breaking 10,000 on its own is not enough. It's actually oversimplified. We broke 10,000 right here. We broke it right here. Now, this particular indicator that none of you know indicated a buy on this break of 10,000, and it's still telling you to hold that long position, even though, well, it depends where you bought it. Did you buy it at the open, or did you buy it at the close, or did you buy it at the top? Because only if you bought it at the open is this position profitable today. Otherwise, it's not. So breaking 10,000 is meaningless. I mean, we broke 10,000 right here on this day. We broke 10,000. And what does that mean? Well, it means there was one day since when? There was one day, well, we closed right at 10,000 here. So there was one day where Bitcoin closed above 10,000 since like February. And that's all it means. It doesn't mean anything to break 10,000. Can you sustain it? That matters. So if we break 10,000 on Friday or on Saturday, which is the most likely candidate, but on Monday, the S&P 500 drops 5%, there goes your Bitcoin back down towards 8. All right. Which is more important, the setup trend count or the continuation count? Very good question. So this is the kind of stuff I would teach. So let's look at the Shanghai composite. So which is more important, the setup count, which is the numbers on top, or, well, the countdown? Again, I am migrating to my own indicator, and the names will be different. So which is more important? It's a preference. To some people, the countdown, the continuation or countdown is more important. To other people, the setup is more important. I like the setup. That doesn't mean that the other one is ignored. You need to use them both. They both help you. For example, this is why I love a 1 to 4 candle correction followed by more strength, because right here, as of this candle right here, they are both in line, and that is most important. When your setup is in line with the extension, this creates a very powerful signal, and that's what I really, really like. Like this here, the combination of the two. And when it comes to critical tops, I prefer the tops off the setup. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to ignore the tops of the extensions. And especially when they line up. Look, there's two of them on the same day. That is probably more important than a single one of these. So how can I explain it? It's almost like a point system, right? Like what's like for those of you that play chess, like what's more important, a queen or any other piece? Well, the queen is more important because it can do more. But is a queen more important than like three other good pieces? Like a bishop, a knight, and a rook? No, probably not, right? Some people can do better with the queen than those three, but other people can do way more with those three. So it's really a preference as to what you do. Okay, so another good question. So because the trend line has subsided, let me go to the weekly trend line. Because the trend line is now lower, the 10,000 this time is a clear break of the trend line than it was a month ago, which is absolutely true. The break of 10,000 now is way more promising. There is another and bigger reason. Back when we broke 10,000 a month ago in June, we were at the end of a count, signaling a top. If we break 10,000 next week, we are at the beginning of a new trend, which is also very bullish. So yes, it is way more promising to break 10,000 next week than it was in June. But we still have to break it. And until we break it, I'm going to assume that the S&P is overvalued and needs a pullback and will drag Bitcoin with it. And looking at TA in isolation, Bitcoin still needs to break this line, and it hasn't done that yet. We're still stuck right at resistance. Can you speak about the altcoin, the atrocities? Sorry. Can you speak about the atrocities your family suffered in the Soviet Union days in the 60s and 70s, so as to warn everyone of what's to come worldwide? I don't think my family suffered atrocities in the 60s and 70s. I'm sorry to disappoint. I don't believe that they have. I should talk to my parents about that in detail. I mean, I grew up in the 80s. It wasn't great, but I mean, I didn't suffer atrocities. So, I mean, most of the atrocities came before that. It was mostly China. China had way more atrocities. I think most of the atrocities in the Soviet Union came in like the 50s. 60s and 70s weren't as bad. All right. What else can we say? Oh, I got a call coming in that I can't take, unfortunately, but I will have to call that person back. All right. So charts are getting cluttered again. Yeah, it's one of the things I tell people not to do, not to put too many indicators on a chart. Anyway, hey guys, so the shitcoins are actually pumping. Don't forget, if you want to support, please check out the affiliate page. And the workshop that I'm preparing for takes place this Saturday. This will be all about technical analysis and only technical analysis, and none of the indicator stuff. So like the general technical analysis. And then 2 weeks after that, we will do risk, leverage, and money management, which is really, really important. Okay. That's pretty much it. The shit coins are starting to pump, which is unfortunate, but hey, it is what it is. They're all nonsense. Yes, all of them. That's not the shitcoin chart. I think this one is. Yeah, so Bitcoin's dominance is dropping. We will see what that means. It means Bitcoin isn't ready to change the world yet. Just not ready to change the world. All right, guys, I need to get going. I need to do more prep for the upcoming workshop this Saturday. Lots of work to do. Thank you all so much for watching once again. And I will see you all on the next one.